morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching this. Welcome back to the Since I Was Young podcast for all things heart or Midlothian. We do hope you are all good and well. Joined by myself, Ewan, and Alan. Both of us look like a stack of shite after works, so we do apologise in advance. This week's podcast is going to be quite a positive one for a change. Still, between myself and Alan, we still can't quite grasp on the events that unfolded at the weekend there. Obviously, talking about our first win at Celtic Park for 14 years, if I am correct, 2009, I believe it was. Alan has kindly listed up a draft of things that were done during that time in the last 14 years that we use today for that time since we've not beaten Celtic on their home ground. So we will talk about that and obviously the game itself, of course. We're finally going to bring you some new details of our 100th episode the competition, the giveaway, which Alan will talk about as we start, and of course we will round things off with a look ahead to our next but quite equally as important game against St.Mirren, who sit in fourth in the league just below us. So that's going to be your content for whatever time you are watching this. So we do hope you enjoy, as always, guys. And as always, with the formalities, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please think about subscribing. And also, if you want to get in contact with us via our socials as well, please feel free. They're on screen and in the description, as always. So we do hope you have had a good week so far. And if you have tuned in as well, we do hope you enjoy. So, Alan, as I said at the start, we have some details of the competition for our 100th episode, which was held last week as well. And would you like to bring said details about what our watchers could and then possibly win?
Yeah, for sure. As I say, it was, as you said, it was a 100th episode last week, and it took us a while to get something sorted, but eventually we have done something. um, Essentially, there will be a post up on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, essentially all of our social medias, to give you the opportunity to enter a draw to win a stadium tour for a family of four, two adults, two children, basically in the form of a voucher for a stadium tour that you can book at your own discretion and whatever date you wish to book. But yeah, as I say, look out for the tweet. It'll probably, hopefully, if I've done my job right, it'll be out at the same time as this episode. So just follow the instructions on the posts, and yeah, we'll draw it either in time for next episode, or we'll do it prior to Christmas, or maybe slightly after, depending on how busy we are, because obviously it's a busy time of year. So yeah, stay tuned for that. But the post, as I say, will be up on the socials when this goes live. So yes, enjoy, have at it.
Absolutely, it'll be as good as a Christmas present to your family or to anybody else as well. So, as Alan said, we'll give some details on when we will announce the winner and the post. So, please have a look out for that. So, Alan, back to what again, as we said at the start of the episode, just can't seem to actually get a grip on reality just yet. Hard to be was it Celtic at Celtic Park at the weekend there. No, it's still really get like honestly, like it's not even like we said it after the game and the day after as well. It was quite a like not to sound like sort of too dramatic about it, but it did feel like a very surreal thing, like almost as if you've played a football manager or you played FIFA and you've got it on the hardest setting and you've just had like like in this case, like sort of beat Celtic, and was and you're thinking, oh, that's grand, but like it didn't actually happen, like you know what I mean. But yeah, like you know, Hearts actually did it. Like you know,
Yeah.
just before we go in to the team, and the first half, what were your thoughts, like you know, after the game?
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah,
Like you
right.
say, it's funny. It's like you say about FIFA Football Manager. People that know me know I'm a Football Manager addict, as you know as well.
Aye,
And I kind
unfortunately.
of refer to it as sort of save scumming that Stephen Naismith has played the game multiple times and saved it prior to and then quit if he's not got his result. um, but yeah, he finally pressed continue and we won 2-0, so he saved it after that. But it was bizarre. I mean, I missed it live because I was on night shift on Friday night and I went home on the Saturday morning with the intent of, staying awake and cracking on with Christmas things and then finding a way to watch it in the afternoon, which ultimately failed as I fell asleep around lunchtime. And I woke up at half time of the game, so I missed the entirety of the first half live at the time, and looked at my phone as half time approached and thought 2-0. I was like, nah, it's got to be an error. It's got to be an error on the app. Like they've got the badges around the wrong way or something. Like this is it's not 2-0 Hearts. What are you talking about? And then I looked at the scorers and I thought Shankland and Kingsley. That's awfully specific for them to get it
Aye.
wrong. And yeah, then I looked through the rest of my messages and realised that it was actually reality. But yeah, it was all a bit bizarre. Like when I saw the team news, because I looked at that first of all, and I thought, yeah, I'm not quite sure about that. But I have to be honest, there's not really a lot to be, well, there's nothing to be negative about, realistically. Aye, it was just very surreal. I know, like, I'll obviously talk about the results and things, but Celtic aren't in a great place at the moment, on and off the pitch. They seem to be struggling a little bit with Brendan's plans and what he wants to do. It's that post Postecoglou hangover, I think. Because, and I was talking to a few people about this, it's still the same squad that Postecoglou had, minus Jota, really. But a lot of the players just look switched off. They look, Brendan obviously wants to play a different way, and the players are maybe just not buying into it right now. But they lost to Kilmarnock, obviously. Then they had a good win against Feyenoord in Europe, and I think it was Stephen Kingsley that they interviewed after the game, and he was talking about it, and he said, Celtic were on such a high in midweek that they've come back down to earth on the weekend, and it was maybe a good time to play them because they were shattered after the midweek game. But even putting all that aside, like I think it's one of those things, and I spoke last week about the media, sports media in Scotland, and I think a lot of it was kind of aimed at how poor Celtic were in the after-match analysis and stuff, which is fair because Celtic were average at best, and Parkhead was like a library, which was nice, but I don't think enough credit was given to us and the game plan and the way it was carried out and the players, the individual performances. Like normally, and it's funny, like you said at the start of this, we finally got something positive to talk about. Normally, I'm sitting here going, I can't give any players pass marks after that, but I can't think of any player that didn't get pass marks against Celtic. They
Aye.
were all to a man absolutely outstanding. Even the subs that came on, I since watched it back, and even the subs that were made, they all came on, they all made an impact, and they all did something. And it was just really, really nice to see that, especially after the disappointment of the Aberdeen game last week and the claims of being bullied by Aberdeen in that second half, which we absolutely were, and the questions that got fired at McKinley, Budge, and Savage at the AGM in the midweek. So no, it was very, very nice to kind of have a positive thing to bounce back for, and just delighted for all of them, all the players, and particularly Naismith, of course, as well, because it's a big result for him. Big result.
Hi man, like I mean, just to kind of start from like you know what you said. So you said that you looked at the squad. Like I think like you know to kind of give um Naismith like a wee bit of credit in the sense that like you know the squad that he's put out, like every single week since the season started, I'd say it's been more consistent than not. Like in terms of for any new manager, I obviously they want to find out who their best team is, and I think the base of the squad, or the spine, like if you will, like it's not changed that much. Like I think, in my personal opinion, I think where the consistency should lie, if there's any sort of part of the squad that should, is mainly the defense, and I think he's kind of kept to that. Like it's such, yeah,
Yeah,
we've been like you tossing and turning from like a four at the back, like three at the back, like five at the back, but the main nucleus is there, and I think
yeah,
as time goes on, the squad is starting to feel the same every week, which I think is a good thing. But obviously for
yeah,
some games rotation is key as well. But it's nice to see that there is some sort of consistency there.
yeah.
I mean, like when you sort of text me after your nap, um, you did say though that you were a bit not so much in a negative way, but more in the sense of that's quite interesting. You were a bit surprised to see Aiden Denham in the starting lineup, all things considered, that he's not started that much, and
Yeah,
considering that it was a game at Celtic Park as well, like
yeah,
we said last week as well, obviously you don't expect to come away with something, but obviously you actually do want to give it a go. Um, so
yeah.
what were your thoughts to him and the starting lineup in general?
I think Aiden Denham was the surprise one, to be honest. But I think he certainly showed what he could do and what he could bring, which was nice.
Mm,
Like you say, he's not featured for a while. He made a couple of mistakes in previous games, but he seems to have just been kind of not put to the side. But I think because we've got that many options in midfield that all do a similar kind of job, he's kind of fallen down a little bit.
mm,
But Devlin is injured at the moment. Something to do with his ankle, I think it is. I'm sure Naismith said he'll be out for an extended period of time, which is not ideal. Neuenhoff had a hand injury, I believe it was. I seem to remember Laurie saying in commentary. So he wasn't available. But I had concerns about Denham because when I saw it, when obviously, I mean, it's easy to say it because obviously I watched it back after knowing the result. But when I saw Denham and Atkinson together on the right hand side, I kind of thought, I was like, that's not quite sure about that. Because Denham played on the right of the three,
mm,
and Atkinson has obviously been out with an injury for a while. He struggled against Rangers when he came back. So I thought, is it the right idea to throw him in against Celtic, against that winger that they've got, the boy from Honduras? I think it's Palma, is it? Or Parma,
yeah.
one of those. And he looks like a little bright spark for Celtic at the moment. So I was a little bit worried about that side. But again, Denham came in and gave Atkinson a lot of support, allowed Atkinson to go forward when he wanted to go forward, but was also there to help and double up on Palma and anybody else that was on that side for Celtic. And it was similar on the other side, to be fair, with Grant and Cochrane. They did a great job on the
Mm,
left. Cochrane man of the match by a country mile. But just like what you said about like the consistency of the defense and selections and things, I think that's massive. I think there's a massive case to put Frankie Kent up there as signing of the season in Scottish football, not just for Hearts. I think
mm,
he's been outstanding. His relationship with Kai Rolls has grown in weeks, and there were points during the game when Kai was maybe not out of position, but Kai was sort of reluctant to kind of go and press the man, and Frankie was pointing at him and telling him, and you could see that he was directing him. And Kairos is clearly responding to that, and it's working very well, which is nice to see. Xander Clark as well in goal. A lot of people criticised him in recent games for mistakes and things, and people I think as well, because I'm not sure if we said it previously, but obviously with Gordon back, people are just pining to see Gordon back in the team and back starting
Of
games and
course.
wanting Xander Clark dropped tomorrow. But this is a guy that's got, I think it's 9 clean sheets at this point, or maybe 8 or 9 clean sheets at the moment. Yeah, nine clean sheets. I had it written. I just had to refer to it there. 9 clean sheets so far this season. This point last year, we'd only kept two. So the consistency of the defensive selection and the relationships that they're building with each other is clear to see how useful it is. And obviously, it helps that Benny Beningame had a Benny performance of the old Benny that we're used to seeing, because he was again also absolutely outstanding. But it's funny, like Celtic were Celtic, but and I said this to you, and I've said it to lots of people. I don't like, and Brendan Rodgers said it after the game. They could have played all night and not scored a goal. So that tells you really everything that you kind of need to know about the Hearts' defensive display. Like, but even to that end, it wasn't backs to the wall, 10 men behind the ball defending everything. Like,
No.
yeah, they had something like 75% possession across 90 minutes. But when you look at the chances that they had and the chances that we let them have, they were all fairly comfortable. Xander Clark had to make a couple of good saves. He made one early on from, I think it was Greg Taylor's shot, and he just sort of palmed it away. And then there was one later on in the game where he had to do the same. But yeah, it was, and again, it kind of goes back to what we were saying. It's all just very surreal, to the point where I'm still laughing about it now. I know I took a nap before the game, but I'm concerned I'm still yet to wake up, and I'm just going to wake up and it's going to be Saturday afternoon, and we've not even played them yet.
Scenes. Yeah, no man. Like I mean, like you'll be Barbara talk about like the first goal. I mean, like just from what you were saying about the stats today as well. Like I mean, they had like as you said about 75% of possession had like 20 odd shots against our four on a target.
Yeah,
And two of those that were goals. In terms of passes made successfully, I think ours was something like 200 odd, and theirs was like 600 odd. So it's not to say that they didn't, as you said, I didn't have the chances there. Like I think like all obviously became a lot more prevalent like when we got in to the second half as well, where they did have that brief kind of 15 minutes that I could just press him. But you know, at no point during that game, like like even when we went two goals up and got into to half time, usually I would be like, yeah, but we're not gonna come away with anything. Not to be
yeah,
like too over the top, but somehow or some way they would come back. But
of
as
course, of
the
course. You would expect it.
I you know what I mean, and as the time went on, it was just like, oh, all right, okay, this is good. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that is fabulous.
yeah.
But yeah, so going to the first goal. I mean, who else would you want to pop up to have scored their 13th goal of the season in all competitions? Our beloved captain Shankland. Um, Again, just from what you were saying about more, people are kind of highlighting more how bad Celtic were as like opposed to like our actual performance. It was such a nice header from a corner, and I will say yes, Hart scored from a corner again. Like things are happening again that we must will wake up from soon, as you said, Alan. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was on the one hand, like it was such a well taken header, where Shackland put the actual ball the top corner of that actual net, fucking absolutely
Yeah,
fabulous. But who was marking him from the Celtic defense?
I
Like
know.
genuinely, it was absolutely like sound as fuck. Like as it was
Yeah,
by himself. Like you know what I mean. So yeah, like it was like absolutely
Bizarre.
fabulous, you know? Yeah.
I know it was funny, like the corner itself was brilliant, but the build up to it was really good as well. And the thing I'll mention again, I spoke about him not too long ago, was Benny
Mm.
Beningame getting the ball in the sort of middle of the pitch, and he kind of, I think he won it off a slack Celtic pass, if memory serves me right, and he sprayed it out to Atkinson on the right hand side, and it was worked into the middle, and there was a cross brought in, and Carter Vickers had to head it behind, and it was a very well worked kind of team move to even get the corner, which was really nice to see. It's just nice to see us passing forward against anyone, but against Celtic in particular, it was brilliant.
Mm.
But aye, the header from the corner, George Grant is when George Grant was signed, I remember he was labelled as a set piece specialist or something like that, or whatever it was.
Aye, fucking
And we never saw
dead ball specialist, aye.
that was the one. Aye, that's the
Something
one.
like something
But
stupid like
aye,
that.
aye, and we never saw it because I thought, I remember pre-season and he took a corner, it went into the stands and stuff like that. I'm thinking, fuck's sake, another set piece specialist. The last one was Mallory Martin, which was a
The
name, a
dead ball
blast for the
specialist,
past
aye.
that we'd rather forget about. Every time we sign a dead ball specialist, they turn into absolute murder. But George Grant took the corner, and yeah, there was two Celtic boys that just wanted to hug Frankie Kent apparently, and they both just left Lauren Shankland completely on his own. Um, I think the best thing about it was he didn't even have to jump to
No,
head it; he just stood there. Um, but the power he gets on it as well, like he puts his neck through it, like he throws himself at this ball. And Joe Hart's not getting there. But yeah, the defending was shocking. It was horrendous from Celtic, which made it even funnier, to be fair.
of
But
course.
at that point in the game, we absolutely deserved to be ahead because for the first 10, 15 minutes, we had most of the ball and we were playing it in their half and keeping them penned in, which was brilliant. And it was one of those things in that first 15 minutes, you're thinking the only thing that's missing here is a goal. Like we've done everything. A goal would be brilliant. And yeah, like I say, the Hearts scoring from a header from a corner is just almost as bizarre as the result was for me. But yeah, as I say, Frankie Kent was clearly just looking like he needed a cuddle because two Celtic defenders just decided to just give him a hug
Mm.
and leave Scotland's most prolific goal scorer completely on his own,
Mm.
which was absolutely delightful.
Absolutely. So, could you then argue, because I'm not sure where I actually heard it, but could you argue that we've got arguably one, maybe the best centre back at the moment in Frankie Ken, and the same on the other end of the park that we've got the best striker in Scotland right now?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I think
Yeah,
Frankie Kent, and I mean, it might be club bias because obviously we're Hearts
of
fans, but
course. Aye.
I think his impact on that Hearts defence, it goes without saying. He's been absolutely outstanding. He's had a couple of games where I've thought he made a wee mistake there, but in the most part, he's been quality. And I don't know, like you could talk about, well, like Carter Vickers at Celtic, he's a big player for them. Connor Goldson at Rangers, he's a solid,
Absolute
consistent performer.
fud to know.
Oh,
Sorry, no, I,
they're
I, I
both.
gotta
Oh
put it
no,
out there.
you're absolutely right. They're both a couple of fannies, but they're both very influential to their teams, and I think
Yeah.
Frankie Kent has that ability as well. And Lawrence Shankland is our most influential player since Scatchel, maybe
Yeah,
from a forward point of view.
I would say so.
He's got something like 40 odd goals in 70 games, which is just a ridiculous ratio that we've never seen from a Hearts forward for a long time. And yeah, like he just everything about his game just suits how we play and it works so well. Obviously there's been lots of media speculation about him potentially going to Rangers at some point,
Nope,
be it January
nope,
or
nope,
whenever. I
nope,
know
nope.
we won't give it too much coverage because I'm tired of hearing about it, talking about it, thinking about it. But I have to be honest, the AGM was held last week and Andrew McKinley spoke about it and said, it'll take a fee that we don't believe anybody is capable of reaching, or an astronomical fee or whatever the words were used for him to go. They did say that they'll have a conversation with him in January and see where he's at. So I think one way or another we'll know what's going to happen in January. Um, but, and I've said this to lots of people, if Shankland is to go in January, which I don't believe he will, I have a sneaking suspicion we'll keep him beyond January. The summer might be different, but I don't think the club can afford for Shankland to leave in January. I think, regardless of fee or whoever it is, if it is that mob from along the M8 that seem to be, you know, pining after him every day, I don't want us to do business with them, to be honest. I've said that many times. I don't want us to do any business with them because I can't stand them. But if we are, it's got to be a fee that is suitable for a player that is as important as Lawrence Shankland is. And I was talking to somebody at work today, and we got, was it 9 million we got for Craig Gordon from Sunderland?
Yeah, correct.
And Craig, obviously at the time, that was a British record for a goalkeeper because of Craig Gordon's potential and how solid he was. I think for Shankland, I'm not saying you're looking at a figure like that, but for a 28-year-old striker who is in fantastic form, scored recently for his country, banging goals for his club, you've got to be looking 5, 6 million maybe,
Aye.
which I don't think would be unreasonable, personally.
No.
18 months on his contract, though, is a bit of an issue. But as I say, they said that typically they speak to players in January. We spoke about it the other week that they've spoken to Benny and Halkett about new deals. Benny came out and said he's not thinking about it right now, um, which seems a bit ominous to me. Maybe he might be looking for a wee move. Maybe he's going to do a Gino and put in the best 6 months of his career between now and the end of the season, and then walk away for nothing, which I would be absolutely heartbroken about, considering we've nursed him through a very, very bad injury. But yeah, listen, it's contract situations are all there to be talked about. I hope that when Shankland has a conversation in January, there's a willingness from his side to stay. I don't know where his head's at. We all know he's a Rangers fan. It's clear. It's he's there's social media posts from the past and talking about Rangers and all the rest of it. So at 28 years old, if he wants to go and play for Rangers, absolutely fine. I don't have a problem with it as long as Rangers give us what he's worth. I'd rather he doesn't go there, of course. I'd rather he stays at Hearts for the remainder of the season because I think if he goes in January, we're in serious trouble because our second highest goal scorer behind Lauren Shankland is own goals. So yeah, we could kind of do with not losing Shankland in January, considering how important he is to that team.
Absolutely, my man. Absolutely. Well, time will only tell. However, what time has told is that a certain left back until that weekend had not scored a goal since, again, like crazy to think, a goal since the semi-final of the Scottish Cup against Hibs when he scored that absolute rocket of a free kick. And shock horror, he scored a free kick. Again, like we could talk about the foul and the lead up to the free kick, but like it's I kind of here nor there. Like it got given. Just to kind of um point on that, like as well. I would never usually do it, but like it's the only time I'm gonna do it. The next again day, where I work, I had Kevin Clancy enter my premises, and the first thing I did was give that man a free glass of champagne for his excellent work. So well done, Mr. Clancy. But next week we'll be probably back to hating you again. So it was just to bring that up. So
All
yeah,
right.
yeah, the free kick. Like again, what can you say? Like in a typical Kingsley fashion, back to like his old ways. Hopefully on a more consistent basis. You know, it was nice to see as well. And plus, like from the few things that came up on my Twitter feed as well, I had Celtic fans like sort of come up as well. I think it was Amaruso lets it run where he put up like a video of this Celtic fan like sort of doing a live stream of the actual game as well, and even he
Yeah.
was saying like that's a belter, that's a fucking belt, like you know
Yeah.
what I mean. So
Yeah.
aye, so it was nice to see him get back on the score sheet and like especially from free kicks as well. Yeah,
Oh, phenomenal. Stephen Kingsley only scores bangers. If he wants to score one every 50 odd games, I'll take them if they're as good as that. It was like you say, the foul was a foul. I don't care whether it's a soft foul or he takes his legs away. I don't care. It's a foul. The referee deemed it a foul, therefore it's a foul. Clancy, I
Aye.
thought Clancy had a good game. Clancy had a very good game, but I will say as
Fantastic.
well, we didn't. The biggest, I think, one of the bigger surprises for me, aside from the result, was the fact we didn't get a single yellow card in the game, which I was delighted about. I think it just shows the discipline of the players and how well drilled they were and how much they stuck to what they wanted to do. But the the Kingsley free kick when he stepped up to take it, um, I kind of thought I was like, he fancies this, he's got this in his locker, and he just Celtic obviously hadn't done their homework on a Stephen Kingsley free kick because they had, how you get one guy lying across the bottom of the wall. I was like, Stephen Kingsley doesn't go low with free kicks. Stephen Kingsley puts it up and over a wall. Like
Aye.
that's what he does. And if that wall jumps, maybe they stop it. I'm not gonna lie, because it wasn't top corner,
No,
but
no,
it was in
I
the
can, I kind
side.
of, yeah.
Yeah, it was side netting, and Joe Hart was completely in the wrong place. Somebody sent me it after the game, and it was the Lee Griffiths free kick for Scotland against England, and it was remarkably similar to that.
I know which one you're
The
talking
one that
about.
the one that Griffiths scored against Joe Hart as well.
Mm.
Funnily enough, but yeah, he was. I'm not going to use a head and shoulders joke because I've banned myself from it.
No, I
But
banned you for saying it.
he
You told me
was.
the joke 3 times already because you were so proud of yourself.
I was just going to say that Xander Clark was head and shoulders above Joe Hart during the day, but I'm not
Fucking
allowed to say it.
I
Oh, sorry, I just threw
forbid
it in
you for saying
there. But no, Joe Hart. There could have been two Joe Harts in goal, and he wouldn't have saved it. It was side netting. It was quality, and Stephen Kingsley deserves it. He had a rough end to last season. I think he had some personal circumstances going on because, mind you, he was in and out of the team for a while and he wasn't
yeah.
picked. He had an injury. I think there was some personal issue that happened with his family or whatever. But it's just nice to see Stephen Kingsley celebrating, scoring a goal again. He's just quality, and even in that, like, sort of reinvented himself as a right-sided centre back. He seems to be doing relatively well there as well, which is bizarre.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, quality goal, quality player, just rounded off what had been a quality half.
Our first half rounded very well indeed, sir. I mean, again, like, for the second half, like, I mean, as I said at the start, like, even, like, obviously, like, we all knew that Celtic were are gonna, like, sort of try to turn it, like, and like, into like an early goal, like, or like at least try to in this case, because
Mm.
it was like it was only for like maybe 10 or 15 minutes where they did like start to really press. Like, I'm sure Clark was tested a few times as well.
Yeah,
And I know that we spent like that like sort of first 15 of the second half in our own half as well. Like and for the majority of that second half as well because we knew it was going to be like that. But
yeah,
even then, like as I said, I didn't feel as if we were gonna like sort of lose a goal. I
yeah,
thought like in general, and for the whole game, I genuinely thought that was one of the most well-rounded overall performances that I've seen from Hearts in a long time. Not just under Naismith, but in general.
yeah,
And with it being at Celtic Park as well, obviously you can take into account like the difference pitch size as well, but compared to Tynecastle as well. Obviously, they're are gonna have to work harder. You mentioned as well, where players that just came back as well. I know you said that, arguably that Cochrane was man of the match, and I would probably be inclined to agree with you. But like one man that I think just under the circumstances that he just got brought back in to the team was Atkinson. Like genuinely, I
yeah,
thought that he had an absolutely brilliant game as well. Like as well as all the team, but in particular,
Yeah.
even down to some like of the tackles, like he was making, the interceptions as well. Like honestly, like I thought that whole backline in particular was absolutely fab. And then
Hmm.
even when uh Stabik as well, they came on and replaced the Kingsley at like a half time as well. He did a decent shift as well. Um, but
Definitely.
yeah, like I mean, when you watched it back, like did you if you feel the same as well? Like what like at any point where you had the same thought as me, like after the first half, thinking, oh well, like it's nice that like we scored two, but like it's not going anywhere, like
Yeah, yeah, I think that's fair. I think halftime was obviously summed up by the Celtic fans booing their team off. They even booed an old boy dressed as Santa who came
I
on at
saw that
halftime.
fucking horrible fucking bastards, like
Yeah,
really, like
I know,
horrible
eh, fucking
bastards.
booing Santa, but aye, Santa's a jambo anyway, so it's fine.
No, true.
Um, but aye, like when I saw that Celtic had made three subs at half time, they took off Mikey Johnson, who got absolutely nothing out of Cochrane in the first half, and I think they took off Alistair Johnson as well. I think no, was it? Aye, it was. He went off as well because Ralston came on for him, and they brought on Maeda as well. And the Celtic
Oh,
fans
aye.
cheered when the substitutions were made because obviously they were less than impressed with the players that had gone off from the
Mm.
first half. To be fair, when I saw that Maeda had come on and we'd taken off Kingsley, I was thinking, okay, Maeda's a good player for them. It'll be a different kind of challenge for Cochrane to deal with. And I was thinking, is Civic ready for what he's going to have to do? But yeah, they just put a shift in. They just put a shift in and they worked hard. And like we as fans always talk about Hearts, and you say, look, when you come up against Celtic and Rangers, we're not asking for 3 points every week because we know realistically that's not going to happen. But you just want to see hard work. You just want to
Mm.
see effort. You just want to see them having a go. And I think we got all of that. I think it was, there was clearly a game plan that they'd worked on, and it was clearly executed to perfection. Of course, there was always that moment of if Celtic get one back, this could open up again.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
the one Stephen Kingsley had to block off the line in the first half. I didn't even talk about that, but that goes in just before half time. It's a different game in the second
Mm.
half. If they'd gone in at half time with one goal, you're thinking, right, okay, we're winning 2-1, but it's dodgy here. But he threw himself at the ball. The defenders were throwing themselves and blocking everything all day. And the second half was much the same. Like Celtic tried, but they just couldn't get through. They couldn't get through. The one time they did was that Kyogo one where he ended up near enough headbutting the post at the back post when he ghosted in and
Mm.
completely missed the ball and ended up headbutting the post near enough. So that was nice. But it's like I said at the start, it was one of the most comfortable performances, and it was a brilliant performance from Hearts without question. But it was just so comfortable, and I think we've said it about Tynecastle before and how toxic Tynecastle can be if we're not winning. I think Parkhead and Celtic fans, let's be honest, Celtic fans are not used to losing domestically.
No,
They're
because
not
like
used to
what
it.
that was their what like their 52nd home streak, like if that's right.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. Like Celtic fans are not used to losing domestic games, and they've only gone and lost two in a row for the first time in a very, very long time. So yeah, you could tell that the atmosphere in Parkhead from the home end was rather toxic towards the players and the manager, and they were chance of sack the board after 20 minutes or whatever it was. So clearly Hearts took advantage of that, and the players obviously fed off that and went, well, they're not happy. They're not supporting their players. They're not getting behind them and trying to drive them on to get a goal back. And I think all that kind of added up
Mm.
to what became a very comfortable second half. Which again, even saying it now just feels absolutely bizarre, but obviously is unbelievable
Mm.
to bounce back from a disappointing loss to Aberdeen to pick up 3 points at Parkhead. It sets us up brilliantly for the rest of December. But and I don't know whether you want to move on or whatever, but that needs to be like we've spoken about it, and lots of people have spoken about it for a long time. Stephen Naismith's still looking for that statement win. He's still looking for that statement win that he needs.
which
And I'm not
undoubtedly,
saying, yeah, listen,
undoubtedly,
I'm not,
like it's
of course, and I'm not going to sit here and say that all the Stephen Naismith doubters are now converted, and that's brilliant, and
oh,
he's in everybody's good books. But credit where credit is due,
absolutely, yeah.
that performance was partially down to how poor Celtic were, and I will acknowledge that.
Hmm.
But everything they threw at us, we knew what to do. And that's down to coaching staff, that's down to the players. Maybe there were some bruised egos after being accused of being bullied against Aberdeen and things like that. Maybe the players thought, actually, we're better than that. Let's show people we're better than that. Maybe there was an element of that. And yeah, it was just a really, like I said, when you play against an old firm team away from home or even at Tynecastle, we as fans don't expect 3 points every week, but you expect them to have a goal. And we did that. And
Hmm.
that's the reward that we deserved for that.
Absolutely, and like as you said, like it puts a bit of bank in for Naismith. Like I mean, you can't take that away
Yeah.
from him. Like I think it goes back to what we talked about like a few weeks ago, where like where we had the episode like is everything as bad as it actually seems? Granted, like obviously, like with like the like the things like as we talked about, like like about the AGM, like in terms of signings, like in terms of like what's actually happening, like behind the scenes as well. You know, we're sitting third right now, coming to the halfway point. Yeah, there's been games where we could have picked up all 3 points, even a point, like where we should have. Um, you know, the team we have as an all rounder, like you mentioned, like just in terms of like all of the defensive aspect as well, the points we've picked up on the road, like mainly wins, like
Yeah.
like obviously like it's the emotion on the actual day. If we do lose again, then we think it's all went tits up. But
Yeah.
where we're at, like it's not that bad, is it? It's really all
No,
not that bad.
no.
But as you said as well, like it is a massive like sort of building block to take into this strategy coming when we host St.Mirren, which they've been a bit of a dark horse this season so far. And like again, like was credit to them, like for where they are at this moment in time. I am under no illusion, and I hope that the squad as well won't be any like under any illusions that this will be an easy game. Um, they'll be looking to hopefully replicate what we did like at Celtic Park. I don't like even if we had lost at Celtic at the weekend just there. I don't think there would be any illusions that we feel like we'd go into this game expecting them to take any points from us, like especially at home. Um, so in that regard, Alan, what are your thoughts for this Saturday's game? And like again, as we always say, this very important game as it'll give us, I think, a 4 point gap as well. Like against St.
I think
Mirren
so.
as well.
Yeah, it would do actually. I think we're currently up. I think we're on now. We're level on points with them. We're both
All
at
right.
26 at the
All
moment.
right. Okay.
Aye, so
All
it
right.
would be a
So,
3 point gap if we won.
aye.
But aye, I mean St. Mirren started the season very well. There's no denying that they did very well. Recently, they have been a little bit back to kind of what you would expect. They've only won one of their last five, and it was 2-0 against Ross County. They drew 0-0 with Motherwell on the weekend as well. So, yeah, there are some signs that they're starting to slow down a little bit. But Yeah, I think a lot of it will depend on how we play. Obviously, we're at home. I've seen us play at home a few times this season in games I've been to and games that I've watched. We start well, but we don't manage to capitalise, and then we sit off and allow the opposition to come into the game again. So we can't do that against St Mirren on Saturday. We need to be at it from the start, and morale should be high because obviously it's a brilliant win we've just had. It'll be very, very interesting to see what we do and how we do it. The the atmosphere at Tynecastle gets a bit irritated. The fans get a bit irritated if they don't see anything from the team in the first half an hour.
Mm.
I've said it many, many times that Naismith talks about patience. They even spoke about it at the AGM, and the style of play was questioned and all of that stuff. And I understand it. I
Mm.
totally understand it. You want to go to Tynecastle and be entertained when you go and watch them. But as I've said to you, and I've said on this many times, I don't care about performances as long as results are what we get. So yeah, but St Mirren will not make it easy for us because they know what's at stake, as do we. So it'll be a different kind of game from Celtic. Our away form and our home form is like opposite ends of the scale at the moment. Five away wins and only I think two or three at home. I think it's three off the top of my head.
Weird.
Um, so yeah, it's odd, but I think we as fans have to recognise there will be periods in games at Tynecastle when we're not fully in control, but that's okay. You know, as long as we take advantage of the chances that we get when we are in control,
Mm.
that's what we have to learn to think about. It's not easy. It's not easy to sit in Tynecastle and go, "This is fucking dire. What am I watching?" But you're not going to control a game for 90 minutes against anyone in this league. There's going to be periods in every game where the opposition is going to do something. But it's important that we make the most of what we did, like what we did at Parkhead. Celtic dominated possession. We had two clear cut chances and we scored both of them. That's what you need to do, and that's what St Mirren might try to do to us at Tynecastle. But it's up to us to make the most of the chances that we get, because St Mirren are a good side. They've been a bit of a surprise this season so far. I didn't expect them to do what they've done, but they are a good team. Well drilled. They work hard. They've got good, quick players on the counter attacks. We're gonna have to watch for that. But at home, off the back of a good result against Celtic, I feel like we can get 3 points. I feel like we can get 3 points, and then obviously that sets us up for the Edinburgh Derby after it. But yeah, I think 3 points at home against St Mirren is massive, and it's a 3 points that we really need to get. Because like I say, I know a lot of people are still sort of not Naismith out, but they're still questioning it
Aye,
after
of course.
Parkhead, and that's as is their right to do so. And we've seen Hearts many times have a brilliant high, and then the next game go back down to reality and think, oh, for fuck's sake, that's us, right? We're back to square one again. So, I've said it to you many times. It's one step forward, two steps back. That tends to be where we're at just now. But hopefully, the Celtic game is a springboard to turning things round. But 3 points at St Mirren, or 3 points at home against St Mirren, I hope will make people start to believe what we're trying to do. And obviously, if that support then builds into the Edinburgh Derby away at Easter Road, we're all the better for it.
Right, man. Like, I mean, like as you said as well, like if this is not a building block to build upon to win, like away from home, like to the champions of Scotland after like a 52 like sort of the domestic run of games, like unbeaten, have like a fantastic performance. I don't know what will, like genuinely, like if we lose, this would make me question it more in that
Yeah.
sense. Like like to actually thrive from that win to carry on and to next week. Like what I mean, so that's when I think like what you're saying about like your fans still being like a bit dodgy, like about Naismith. Then I would be a bit more inclined to like agree with it, thinking right, there is something weird going on, but as we said, like only time will tell as we get to the weekend. So to kind of round it off, I think, as I said at the start, we are feeling a bit a positive mood. So I will say Hearts will lose only by one goal. Nah, what I'm gonna say, like I said, like I mean, you have to start like sort of like on the like on the right foot, like high press and like from the very start, so I'm gonna go for a convincing 3-0 win, and I think that's been my most
Wow.
positive prediction this year.
I think
Like
it
yourself,
has. I think it has.
my head might still be up in the clouds from the weekend, but fuck it, let's ride it, mate. Let's
So
ride it.
we go in for a Shankland hat trick then, since nobody else scores any of our goals. Is that what we're?
Fucking Shankly, Andy Halliday, fucking get the boy on, get the fucking. Let's go all out for it, mate.
Oh dear. Aye, well, that'll be the day.
Absolutely, sir. A man can
I'm
dream,
gonna
so it's
go.
fine.
Well, aye, and you do about Andy Halliday lots,
No
which
comment.
is
No.
absolutely fine. Yeah, fair enough. I thought you'd say that. I'm gonna go for the same scoreline that we got at Parkhead. I'm gonna go for a 2-0 win to Hearts. I think, like I said, it'll be interesting to see how things go. You made an interesting point earlier about the Parkhead pitch size. I don't know whether it's something that I need to do some homework on it, but obviously Tynecastle is a much smaller pitch, so there's not as much space for us to exploit and work with. So maybe that feeds into why our home form's not been as good as our away form. But again, I don't have any stats or anything. I've thrown a few out during this, but I don't have any that support that. But that might well be something to think about. Because I think the back three or back five away from home works quite well. At home, I don't think we've quite got it to click yet,
Hmm.
which again could be due to the size of Tiny or whatever. But again, listen, we should have enough about us to get a result. Heads should be high, and I hope Hearts go out there. I hope the players go out there with our chests out and have a go, because it's a big opportunity for us to get third outright. We're currently, as I said, level points with St.Mirren, so it'd be nice to get us clear. Again, obviously heading into the Edinburgh Derby off the back of two good wins would be positive for that as well. But yeah, I'm going to go for a 2-0 win. Shankland, of course, because all Shankland does is score. I wonder if Boyce will be back from injury or not. I hope he is, but if not, we'll see what happens. But aye. I think aside from saying Shankland will score, I'm not going to say who else will score. We might get an own goal, because we love
Of
own
course,
goals.
of course.
Aye, Shankland to get one and another own goal.
Sounds like a good one, man. And obviously, as well, we will welcome like as well all your predictions as well for this Saturday's game as well. As we said at the start as well, keep your eyes peeled for the competition giveaway as well. Um, uh, we will put a post at the same time as the podcast, which should be Wednesday at 5 o'clock. So we shall post that out, and we will give you details, like everything that is involved, as we said at the start. And yeah, for all those that are travelling to Tynecastle Castle on Saturday, we do hope your heads like you're still in was it in the clouds as well, to bring a bit of a positive energy to the place. And yeah, I think that brings us to the end of this week's episode. And as always, guys, of course, thank you very much for joining in. And hopefully we can come back with 2 wins on the bounce, where we won't know what the fuck to talk about, so yeah, happy days ahead, hopefully. So yeah, from myself and Alan, we do hope you enjoyed the rest of your weekend. For all those going to the game, we do hope you have a good one, and we will see you next time. You all take care now. Bye for now.